start off with Mahesh Jethmalani, get a couple of questions with him before I open up the debate. Mahesh Jethmalani, my first question, you've pulled out this tweet of Shashi Tharoor from the year 2009, 26th of May 2009, where Shashi Tharoor himself has tweeted, and I quote, met old friend George Soros, upbeat about India and curious about our neighborhood. He's far more than an investor, a concerned world citizen. Does that prove the Congress alliance with George Soros?
Well, I mean, I don't know whether Shashi is talking about his personal friendship with Soros or whether he's speaking for the INC. So I'm not going to say anything on that. It's ambiguous, but certainly Shashi seems to be deeply attached to him and, sort of says he's curious about the neighborhood and he's a concerned world citizen. Rubbish, but, if you're an apologist for somebody and you have close links for him, that's the kind of rubbish you would spew.
We've been debating, the OCCRP/Congress/Deep State link for a few days now, Mr. Jethmalani. And what I found very interesting, and because you're on the subject of Shashi Tharoor, one more question linked to Shashi Tharoor, because I find it very interesting that the same Shashi Tharoor in 2021, in the year 2021, put out a tweet saying that the Covaxine has not yet had phase 3 trials. Approval was premature and could be dangerous. Dr. Harshvardhan should please clarify its use should be avoided till full trials are over. India can start with the AstraZeneca vaccine in the meantime. This was immediately after the OCCRP puts out a hit job on Bharat Biotech and Covaxine. So the point I was trying to make is that you have Shashi Tharoor of the Congress party, you have the OCCRP, you have Soros linked to the OCCRP, and of course a hit job on India, right? Is there a pattern to these hit jobs?
Yes. I mean, now they're working in tandem, for God's sake. There's no doubt that Congress takes its, cues from the Soros and the OCCRP. There's no question about it. You look at it repeatedly. It's not just... And one of the prime guys is testing. I've been saying this for ages. Jairam Ramesh. I mean, what? Did he say anything about Sinovac? Sinovac turned out to be a complete failure. Shashi Tharoor never opened his mouth about it. Covaxin turned out to be a resounding success.
Yeah. And Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, Devendra Fadnavis, he made a very interesting point. He gave a very, very, detailed interview to Republic TV. And one of the points he made was, I found it interesting because he made a mention of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. He said we have to investigate the groups linked to the Bharat Jodo Yatra. And I found it interesting that he said that. Do you see the links unraveling perhaps? I don't know, it's a question. You're sitting in Mumbai, maybe you know more.
Look, so much of the Congress agenda, right, which then became a question of contagion for the whole Indian alliance, right? I don't know whether they are the India alliance, whether they're, in hindsight now, they regret their alliance with it, because the entire agenda which they have has always been a copy and paste job of Soros' mouthings. It's just incredible. Every time he says, whether it's the Adani issue, the Pegasus issue, OCCRP is the Bhagavad Gita of the Congress party.
Yeah. Mr. Jethmalani, you have, in the past we've discussed some of these shady meetings. And the reason I call it shady is because we've been asking for details of it. Nobody knows the details, right? We remember discussing that pact with China. Remember when the first picture came out, and I think it was the year 2020? Till date, we don't know what was in that pact, right? From then until now, there are secret meetings. Of course, there was a reference to Uzbekistan when he went to Uzbekistan just before or after the elections, right? Now, there are details of these meetings coming out slowly. I'm coming straight to the point. Do you suspect that George Soros, who has pledged $1 billion, he pledged $1 billion to fight Modi?
Yes.
And people like Modi he hates. Do you suspect a part of that money has come to India?
I strongly suspect it. I mean, why? You mean the Congress party? Let's make that question more specific. That's where you're heading. Yes, there's strong reason to believe that either it's coming indirectly or directly to the Congress party. Certainly, many of the NGOs aligned with the Congress party have received funding. Devendra Fadnavis has said so. It should be investigated and brought out into the public domain. FIR should be filed. This is pure economic terrorism most of the time. This is undermining, or our entire economy and various vital sectors of our economy. These NGOs, dabble in our environmental policy. They dabble in our pharma policies. They try to undermine it all the time, right? So anything which destabilizes our economy or sectors of our economy, and thereby, tend to undermine the economic sovereignty of the country, needs to be investigated. And the way that is done is done through funding. In the names of high-sounding, principles like climate change and so on and so forth. But in fact, it is funding to create fissures in our society and destabilize India. There is no doubt about it now. And Congress's copybook, right, is OCCRP's playbook.
Yeah. Thank you, Mahesh Jethmalani, for joining us on the burning question this evening. I'm going to open it up. I have in our studio